Alright, here we are. Getting ready to do the oil change on Mama's truck. Got the oil drain pan. Since we're doing this at night, I got the flashlight with a swivel head that'll stand up on its own under the truck. Oil filter. Lucas additive. Mobil 1. Of course, on hers, she's got over 200,000 miles, so we use Mobil 1 high mileage. And of course I got an extra quart just in case. I'll show you how this is done for those of you that don't usually change the oil themselves. Of course, got the car ramps to get it elevated up in the air to where we can drain all the oil out. I'm just a little too fat to be sliding up under a truck without it being raised up in the air now. Okay, first step, pull it up on the ramps. Got all the stuff I need right up underneath it already, so I'm ready to go. Want to make sure that your ramps are straight in line with the tires, where all you have to do is roll straight up on the truck, or up on the ramp with the truck, and you're good to go. Alright, first thing I always like to do, now I did this first try without any problems or hassle, and it doesn't usually happen like that, but I always try to make sure that the wheels are centered on the ramp and sitting right in the little pocket that's created for the tire itself. And then I always lock the emergency brake on. I do that for a reason, because while more than likely it won't roll or won't slide off, if you're off center just a little bit and somebody comes by and bumps into the vehicle, it can come down off the ramps. First things first, that right there is the oil drain plug on this vehicle. Of course, right next to it's the oil filter. Okay, now you can see I've already been turning on it with this wrench. That's what all the dents are for. But basically, it just slides on there, and you just twist it like so, counterclockwise to take it off. Now, I always do the oil filter first, let it drop down into my little drain pan here, so that I can get it drained and get it out of the way. Sorry about this being at night, but I'm working a different shift now, and this is the only opportunity I had to do this. Okay. Oil filter's in there draining. Oil's draining out of the filter hole. And genius me, I forgot my gloves and rag. Okay. Well, since I'm already nasty, usually it's not this bad. Now, I'd already loosened this with the wrench too, the drain plug. So don't go thinking that I'm just power handling this bolt to get it out, the drain plug. And it's a long-winded sucker too. Alright. There's the nasty greasy oil plug. Now basically you just let it run until there's nothing left. Everything pretty much quits dripping. When you go to put the new oil filter on, you put on a little bead of grease, or rather oil, around the oil filter before you screw it back up onto the oil filter mounting bracket up there. And then you tighten it down hand tight, and then just a quarter of a turn with the wrench to make sure that it stays on. And then we'll get up top there and I'll show you the refilling it. Okay, new filter's on, hand tight, quarter turn with the filter wrench. Drain plug's back in after it quit draining. Ready to go up top and fill it up. Alright, first things first. Got my Lucas ready to go. Don't use a oil filter, or I mean a oil funnel or anything. Basically just cut. An old buddy of mine had a empty oil bottle. Just cut the bottom out of it. I always make sure it's clean inside to where there's no dirt getting down in anything, and that's what I use. It works best. It's just the right size to fit inside the neck on the oil fill tube. Now basically, find your oil fill cap, take it off. You want to make sure that it says right there on the lid usually what the grade of oil is that you need for it. This says 5W30. That's pretty much standard in all the 89 and newer GM vehicles. That's what we're going to be putting back in it too. Take my cap off real good so I don't throw any dirt back down in the motor when I put it back on. Set it right there. Now I don't use the funnel or my makeshift funnel for putting oil in, or for putting the Lucas in. Actually, I just take the top off. Oh, it's in there. There's a little aluminum seal for it. Usually just peels right off, and you just take the thing and stick it in. Now this stuff takes forever. Gotta be careful of that, because this stuff doesn't go down real easy. So sometimes if you squeeze it too much too hard, it'll drip oil outside of the filler neck all back over your motor. Then when you're riding down the road, it'll you'll smell that burning, wondering what in the world it is, thinking that your car's on fire or something like that, and all it is burning off the excess on the exhaust manifold right down below the filler neck. It happens. As long as you realize, hey, I just changed my oil, it shouldn't be too awful bad. Alright, I got the old gallon jug of Mobil 1 here. Now, don't want to let this get too full either, or it'll slop back out all over everything too. It's a hazard to using the full jug, a full 1 gallon jug. Alright. And all we got to do is let that work its way down into the motor a little bit. Start it up. Put the cap back on after everything's finished dripping and draining. And check the dipstick. If it's on the little part where the hash marks are, that's good. If it's up above it, you got a little too much in there. If it's just a hair over it, I don't worry about it. But if it's down below the little hash marks on the dipstick, that means you still need some. That's why I always buy an extra quart. Usually while I'm up under here, I'll check my washer fluid, make sure it's okay. While I'm waiting on the funnel to finish draining, I check the brakes to make sure they're okay. Still got plenty of fluid in these. Coolant bottle's full, well, up to the line anyway. And of course the transmission fluid you have to have the truck running for. I believe that's been just about enough time for this to finish draining. Yep. Always wipe it off and wipe it out real good, and you don't have to worry about it being all nasty the next time. Always clean off around the oil spout. Put the cap back on and crank it back up and back it down off the ramp and let it idle to normal operating temperature. Check the fluid, or check the oil on it. Check the transmission fluid while it's still running. If everything's good to go, that's a complete oil change.